Simon and Burge, handsome and handsomer. I don't know. Take your pick. Which one's which?
You, Jaden. You.
No, we don't talk about me. Yeah. We don't talk about me. Guys, good to see you. Thank you for jumping on. Today in the UK is meant to be the hottest day of the year. It's meant to get to 39 degrees, which if you're in any other part of the world is bearable, apart from the UK, where the moisture density is just a complete and utter joke. So I've got a fan going. I've got a window open. I've got the blinds down. Birds, please tell me you bought a fan.
I have got a fan, but everyone should note that in the UK, AC is not a thing. So we are dying out here. We are dying. My flat, I don't know what my flat does, but even though it's on the ground floor, it just hemorrhages heat. It's got some it tucks in the heat. It doesn't let it out. So
that's because you got someone above you.
Yeah, probably.
They've probably got the central heating on.
I got a fan firing hot air at my face with lovely. We'll somehow get through it.
Simon, you've just come back from London, trip with the family. How was that, mate? The capital city?
Yes, it was lovely taking my 3 grown-up children with me and spending a fortune and them not paying anything at all. No, I'm not trying to be mean to them. It was lovely being with them, but I can literally, you go out just to get a little snack with 4 people, and all I was thinking as I bought this Italian meal for about 130 quid at a go was I could have bought a bloody NFT.
Oh,
and
hold on, the meal was that just for you or for everyone?
It was for me and my 3 grown-up children, who, when we go on holiday, it's still as if they're actually about 10. And we resort back to dad pays for everything, and then we go out.
Simon, they think you are the premier NFT investor, so you must be flying high, mate.
Well, I'm sorry, but they have to understand my priorities are NFTs and not them.
He's telling them, I could have 2 Del Mundos instead of this.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to, in fact, tokenize them and my dog.
It's actually the first show that you haven't worn your Del Mondo's t-shirt, mate. Which
I know it's because it's in the wash. It's in the wash.
Does that affect your personal sponsorship with them or anything?
Yeah, they won't be paying my £50,000 fee, dollars, should I say, fee. You know what I should do is I should get sponsored by bloody Coca-Cola.
When you say your adult children, I mean, how old are they? And when are they expecting to pay for themselves?
And 20. Actually, I say 21, 20, and 16. So I'm being a bit mean to Jude.
Right. Okay.
But they are 20, 21, and 16. That's a good question. When is a child expected to pay?
I think it's different nowadays.
A bit stricter.
Well, Burge is nearly 30 and he's just started paying, so they've got a long way to.
First of all, I moved out straight after I dropped out of uni for a period for about 2 or 3 years. But I do think it's a good conversation, Simon. It is down to the parent a little bit, but I also think nowadays it's more difficult because younger people are finding it more difficult to move out of the house to afford life in general. So I do feel like the money is more skewed towards your parents rather than yourself as a younger guy or girl. But at the same time, I also feel like, you wouldn't want it to go any further than like 30 before they can they should be able to support themselves in their late 20s, 30s, hopefully. But
I don't know about you, Burge, and about you, Jaden. Sorry, probably not on topic at all, but it is to do with money. We all have our values and our ways of looking at things in the world. Yeah. One thing I find very difficult is meanness. People who are just mean and try and extract from other people and they're always the last person to put their hand in their pocket at the bar, for example. I just don't like meanness. But sometimes I think I go too far the other way.
You first. Yeah, I noticed that with you. You were like, oh, does anyone want a drink? I remember when we had that meeting.
I think it's probably because my dad didn't have much money and all that kind of stuff. It goes the other way, it's psychological.
Simon, that's a better way to be. We went. It's funny you mentioned this. I was chatting to someone. What's the day today? Thursday. I was chatting to them on Tuesday about a guy we used to go on tour with. And what you do when you go on tour with a bunch of mates is you put money into a kitty and then it's split. You know, if you go out for dinner together, you're not there saying, well, I only had this, so I'm not going to pay the extra £3 or £4, or let's say the equivalent of $5 or $6. But what he used to do is say things like, the bill would come and everyone would just go, there'd be like 15 of us. And he'd just say, should we just round up the tab and split it between us? And there's one person, and I won't mention him, he stopped getting invited on these tours because what he used to do is say, I never had the garlic bread, or I never, all of you ordered an extra drink to me, and he wouldn't pay for it, and he'd leave his thing there. And I'm just like, it's much harder to go through life like that than it is to you. Now, the odd person may take advantage of that, but rather that than the other side of it, this guy doesn't get invited anymore. It's just like, we had lunch. Yeah. And he wouldn't pay for lunch. And then there were some sandwiches left over. And he was sneaking the sandwiches. Like, he took some sandwiches with him. I'm just like, and then you're like, he drives like a, I don't know, £45,000 car. And he lives in a fancy house. And I'm just like, I don't understand that mindset. And interestingly, it's like a self-awareness thing. One of the lads said to him, had to call him and say, hey, this is what the guys think. And he was like shocked by it. He was like, really? So people have this like lack of self-awareness around these things. Because obviously it's an ingrained behavior. And like you say, you've got yours from your dad, but at least it's a positive trait.
It's an unattractive quality in someone, but at the same time, you know, you've also got to be mindful about going too far the other way and then being sometimes a little bit, embittered by those things as well. You've got to be, just balanced really. But meanness. No, and also, as I said, I just really want to buy lots of NFTs and not spend any money on children.
When you start repricing everything in NFTs, you know you're in a bad place, mate. You sat there, if I go on a date and you're about to pay for the meal and it's like, oh shit, this could be a
I could have bought another Del Mundo. You want a drink? No, you don't, do you? Because I want a Del Mundo.
No, I know. Well, guys, just the 21 of you have joined us. Really appreciate it. If you could just share the stream. Whatever platform you're listening on, it is the way the live stream grows. We do this usually every Wednesday, or when we can get together, the three of us. But really interesting live stream today. We're going to speak about obviously Bitcoin, some of the macro stuff, some of the stuff that's happening in NFT land around obviously Robinhood, and just in general in NFTs. We just find that's just far more exciting. But the boring stuff is that the inflation data seems to have dropped and Bitcoin's price has consolidated. Obviously, all of the assets largely are just correlated with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's correlated with financial conditions. And seemingly, it seems to have consolidated, which is good news. It hasn't rallied, but the likelihood now of there being a rate increase in September has dropped, which is good news. And it feels like the memetics of people playing the 4-year cycle of saying, oh, no, the amount of messages I've had from people saying, no, the bottom's going to be in October, Jay. Definitely going to be the bottom. It feels like people have fucking memed that into existence. And now it's probably just going to happen. Simon, you shared a chart with me showing actually, literally the 5th of October, fucking every cycle. And it's like, I know. So,
and is it someone's mapped something? I shared it.
Yeah,
I saw it was like, they've mapped it.
Yeah, the previous cycle high. It's exactly 365 days to the next cycle bottom. And obviously, if a whole bunch of people believe that, who are we to say any different? And Julian Bittle, Chris Beniski, who's a famous macro investor for ARK Invest, or he was with ARK Invest, he said, just look at human nature first, because human nature is the hardest thing to change. And if people believe it is so, it is so. Like human nature is the thing to change. Burge has got it looks like he's actually got the chart up on the screen just for people listening at home. Have either of you got any thoughts on where we are in the cycle? Do you even look at any of the macro stuff like the potential of rates coming down or inflation or any of the stuff happening in Iran? Without making it political, by the way. Or
the graph isn't shown at the moment, Jaden. If you want to bring it up,
yeah, no worries.
This is.
So Simon, you sent this to me. Is it?
I just think I send a little message during the week saying I just got this feeling like crypto. It's all gonna come back in the next couple of months. And you said, what are you basing that on? The great chart reader said. It's just a feeling, really. It's just. I know.
Just for our listening viewers, Burge got a chart up, which I think dates back to. I can't actually see the date on the bottom. Is that 2015 or 2014? I can't see.
2015, yeah.
2015, and it's got like 1,064 days is the uptrend. Then there's 365-day downtrend, 1,064-day uptrend. Then a 365-day downtrend.
So it's saying the peak was in November last year, and then we crashed down, or October last year, and then we crashed down to, and then it's saying the bottom is going to be November this year, or October, November, and then it's saying for in 2027 and 2028 we're going to start to see another upwards trend. Yeah, which so honestly, I mean, it's probably right. If you just have like the feeling of it, it's probably correct. I mean,
let's just say you're a fucking alien that's come down from Mars, and you just look at pattern recognition, and you look at that chart, and you just follow the pattern. like let's say you were a 5-year-old, and you thought, and you say to your 5-year-old, little Johnny, right, finish the pattern for me on this chart. They're probably going to draw an uptrend, aren't they? I mean, I know that's not the best macro analysis you've ever heard, but it's.
But I do agree.
We're really getting into the weeds of it.
Yeah, we're clearly geniuses, aren't we? We are geniuses,
guys. Welcome to our macro investing framework. You just finished the pattern on the chart. It says we're up only from about October, November time.
I'm investing everything in October. I do think there is something also about the macro, what's happening out there, regardless. I know we have the issues or the challenges with the Clarity Act, and we were talking off air, weren't we, about it almost feels like it's a monkey off your back at the moment, because we were all thinking, will it, won't it in August? Well, it isn't. And then there's talk of September, but it just feels like, okay, let's just, maybe people are beginning to think it may not happen, and then so what now? So let's just say it's not going to happen.
It's like, when the Iran thing happened, the prices drop, but then it gets priced in. It was the same with the Russia-Ukraine thing. You think, oh, God, fucking hell, this is just going to send prices. And if this war just carries on and on, prices are just going to capitulate. But then eventually, I think people get numb to it, and then they kind of just ignore it, and they move on to the next thing, or the next catalyst that might drop prices, which is interesting. Obviously, on Polymarket, I think the Clarity Act is now showing there's like 20% or something. That is going to get signed into law this year, but it looks like some of the central planners have put a bit of a continuity plan in place for there to be some rules in place, so it doesn't actually just shoot the US in the foot while there's this great AI race and digital asset race. One of the things I want to talk about, and we can go straight into the NFT stuff, is obviously the stuff happening on Robinhood. I know Cole Villamain, who I just read up that he did the mint my fucking pickles drop, but he's also the co-founder of Pudgy Penguins. He was ousted out of the community. He was citing things like he had mental health issues, and now obviously he's launched a project that's 44,000 supply. It's minted out. It's made $1.8 million, and he's absolutely fucking cooked. Obviously, he's put some effort into it. It's the same artist that did the Pudgy Penguin, so people have this kind of like not a recency bias, but they're comparing it, and they're saying, oh, okay, well, they're obviously hoping, I guess, lightning strikes twice in the same place. Simon, I know that you've been deep in the weeds of some of the Robinhood stuff. Is there anything that you're seeing on there, or any thoughts on that in particular?
I was thinking, we were talking about this as well, that with that, there's a natural marriage made in heaven with Robinhood and these particular NFTs, which are ERC 6551 bound, which means that they're NFTs which have a bit more to them. They have a wallet, they can hold tokens, information, and so forth. And because Robinhood is all about, is already being tapped in for tokenized stocks, there's a natural marriage there between those particular kind of ERC 6551 contracts and those tokenized stocks. And so when you release something like Stockbrokers, do you know what I want to release, by the way? Broke Stonkers.
You get a share. You get a share of no stocks.
Yeah, it's the useless collection.
Yeah, but it's the one that will probably cook because it's countercultural, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know what the share should be? The share should be like a pool of just shit NFTs that have all gone to zero.
All the ones that died in 2021.
Exactly, and then one of them pops off in the next bull run, and then everyone's like, "Broke Stonkers, baby! Let's go!"
Maybe I've just
That's not a bad idea.
Great idea for going and releasing a collection which is anti-establishment. But what is good about, what I think is interesting about this, the number of things with Robinhood. First of all, I was really, like a lot of people thinking, oh, why did I miss the Stockbrokers? When I say Broke Stonkers, and how can you be so close to NFTs for so long and then painfully miss something like that? But then what happens is, I think a lot of people might feel that way, and then they dive into complete rubbish that's put on their scams.
Yeah,
you get emotionally triggered, you invest emotionally, you feel you're missing out. And that's just the moment, isn't it, to take a step back and go, hold on, because, let's just take stock of what I'm feeling and what I'm doing here. And what I came away with, look, you can actually have one of your own NFTs and you can attach an ERC 6551 token to it. You can make it bound. It can hold a wallet. So if you can experiment, and people are, you could have your own NFT, which is now ERC 6551 kind of activated, and you can put other NFTs you own in it. I don't know why you would, but you can. Yeah. And what's really interesting is maybe it's about thinking, wonder what I could do myself. And the final thing I'd say is, saw a post from someone who was saying 2021 lot and all this static NFT art and your IP ventures, fantastic, keep doing it. But really seriously think you need to start thinking about how you might innovate those NFTs, because they don't just have to be IP and art. They can be active, and I think that's probably right. And Chimpa's said something like, we're really aware that we're pushing hard on IP and we're doing, I think, a good job, but we always want to give back to our community, and we are going to keep innovating our NFTs. And I'd suggest others do the same. Use the technology that's emerging.
Go on, Butch.
On that Stockbrokers thing, I agree with you 100%. I feel like people, they missed out on the rise, and they feel awful, especially if you're spending every day locked into the NFT market. It's actually really interesting though, and this is something that I've noticed even going back to the bull run of 2021-22, was I hadn't seen Stockbrokers. It didn't go on my radar until maybe it hit like 4.5 Ethereum. Really interesting though. If I had decided to go, you know what, fuck this, I'm buying a stockbroker right now at 4.5 Ethereum, I would have still made the same gains that someone had made if they minted and then sold at 4.5. I could have made that by buying at 4.5 and running it all the way up to 10. It's funny how people, like, when it hits mainstream, it usually isn't the end quite that, like, at that moment. It usually still has a lot of room. It still has a little bit of room to go, at the very least. And I'm remembering back to like Moonbirds, for example, when Moonbirds went crazy, and it went to a certain value, but then it went straight up to 40 Ethereum before it had like a crash eventually. So I still think there's trading opportunities there for people, even when they think they've missed something.
Yeah, I just think it's you've got to have some
risk though.
You got to have some kahunas on you now, entering at like 25 grand, because you think, like I guess it's like the punkster trade. Like you still think you're early because you think there's going to be this new wave of buyers without actually realizing it's actually just a very small part of us. And does this break out into a wider ecosystem? I love how people are comparing the floor price to Bored Ape Yacht Club and saying it's flipped to Bored Ape Yacht Club. Guys, just look at volume. Like, trading volume is surely a better litmus test than floor price, because you can have less supply of something.
I was going to ask you both something though. The ones we hold in our wallets, the ones we've had for months and years, which are not those kinds of token bound NFTs. I cannot see, and I'm sure it's going to happen, the likes of Bored Ape Yacht Club. Figgy's very into his technology just in itself. But they're going to be, some of us are going to be holding NFTs right now where the founders and the teams leading them will be thinking, right, now there's this technology out there. How are we going to do something with these static NFTs beyond IP? And they will attach ERC 6551 wallets to them.
I think the only counter to that, Simon, is you're right. If they embrace new technology, it's going to be a big win for the holders. My only kind of concern is sometimes you have especially founders from back from the 2021 days. They get into this state of like, I'm going to do it. No, we're not going to mess with that. We're going to do it our way. They're messing around with all this new tech, and that's where I get a little bit pessimistic, is when they aren't so open-minded to the new doors being opened, and it's being shown by other projects, like for example stockbrokers. For example, it's when they look at the new technology and the new things happening in the space and the new successes, and they go, no, I'm not going to have any of that. I'm going to just go down my path. I think it's too rigid then. I don't mind it. Like, I don't mind them having a clear vision, but
I mean, you just have to look at us as people who are deep in the NFT space. And you mentioned something, Simon, about us missing stockbrokers. It was right in front of our faces. We missed it, and I wonder the reason why we missed it is probably the PTSD of last cycle, being pot committed to value that we can now see, because we can see founders have been executing over the last 5 or 6 years. And then when you actually look in the cold light of day, you're like, hold on a second, the newer mints are outperforming. And then it becomes, you've just got a bias. And I say you, I mean me. Like, I've got a bias towards some of the newer stuff, because I realize that there needs to be some sort of executional runway over a period of 2-3 years. And I know that there'll be people thinking that, like, okay, need to lean into some of the newer stuff. So that might be the plan going forward, especially with things that are now bubbling. It feels like things are bubbling. Like there was 200 million in this last week added to the NFT market cap. The loot and gacha platforms have in terms of their trading volumes, they're still increasing, but the digital receipts of ownership is now outpacing the physicals. They're vaulted. Redemptions are like less than 5%. So now you're saying, okay, you've got this asset now that can basically, it's an everything token. It does everything. It organizes community. It operates as a financial asset. It's got the social signaling layer, and it's got the contract layer where the issuer can add anything to the contract. So it just does everything, and it makes sense that this is just going to be the thing.
Yes, it does. And the other thing I was going to say is that we keep talking about where are the masses coming from into NFTs, because we know how exciting they are and what we're seeing that they can do right now as well. And of course, the other place is when I say traditional, it's quite funny really, because it's not really, but it's people using Robinhood who are not interested in NFTs at all, but in tokenized stocks and assets, who are really coming to grips with that part of it and really enjoying using Robinhood just for that. And then they start seeing, hold on, there's NFTs, which can be stockbrokers of their own. They're either AI driven or manually driven. And I think that's going to bring more people into the NFT space from those kind of more crypto coin areas?
Obviously, we're seeing a preview of these founders popping their heads up from 2021.
Yes.
Cole Villamain being one of them. And obviously, a project I got burnt on, which I was very surprised about in 2021, was the Vayner Sports Passes. I know, Burge, you're a big collector in that, and obviously you can give your own opinion. I think you and I have differing opinions of our view of that. But obviously, AJ, he's a significant businessman in the space. He then didn't really do anything with the project. Well, he did. He delivered on what he said he was going to do around the utility, but then put the project into maintenance mode throughout this year. He didn't say it was shutting down or whatever, but largely that was code word for I'm not going to do anything with this. Now, AJ's very deep into, I guess, the technology space. His brother is, he's one of the top investors in the world around fucking Coinbase, Tumblr, Twitter, Uber, all of these significant. What was the other one?
And so is AJ, in fairness, as well. AJ is an investor as well in a lot of those.
So he's obviously gone along for the ride. I do not see him not launching another NFT project, and I wonder what the reception will be like when he comes back to it, or if he ever does another NFT project. If you think about, he runs a sports agency, and a lot of it would just make sense around collectibles, around the sports agency, around some of the athletes he gets to issue collectibles, which are NFTs or whatever. And I just wonder what the reception will be like when someone like him comes back. Another one is Kevin Rose. Kevin Rose was he had dig.com in Web 2, one of the most significant blogging websites. He made tens of millions from it. And I wonder if he ever comes back. And I wonder if these people ever have another swing at it when, I guess, the climate. But also, I don't think that it'll be very well received.
No, I agree.
I think people will absolutely shit on them.
You've got to be there for tough times.
Yeah, they know when they come back that they're going to have that kind of they're going to have to deal with that for sure if they do come back. But I do think they will. I do think they will, because I think you're right. They're both into tech. I think the fact that this is clearly a trend, like NFTs and cryptos, clearly for the future, right? I mean, I don't think these guys could keep away forever.
Yeah.
I do have something on the timeline actually. Just something small but interesting change that OpenSea have made. I'll just share it here. It's that they've changed the when you look at a project, instead of it showing the unique percentage of holders or unique ownership by percentage, it now shows the listed number of NFTs. So you can see here, Bored Ape only has 2.9% of its total supply listed. And then if you went to if you went to Moonbirds, scroll down in the comments, someone said Moonbirds only has 1.3% listed. Just an interesting point here that the original tweeter posted, which was basically that he thinks this will change a lot of how people think about things moving forward. I wonder what you guys think about that. We used to always go on about unique ownership, but this is an interesting stat as well, to be honest.
I agree.
Well, I mean, listen, I did see a glimpse of that, and my initial thoughts were it's kind of just too focused on not floor price, but it's focused on sales. So versus value. Obviously, the unique holders tells you the value of the project versus listed tells you how many people are selling. So I don't know. I don't know how that changes the psychology of someone looking at that. I mean, I saw the one with CryptoPunks. It said that there was 11% listed, or 11% of CryptoPunks listed. I imagine the vast majority of them are just at Valhalla prices, and they're not wanting to sell them.
True.
Versus a smaller percentage. But I always thought, in my opinion, the value of a project is the holder percentage, because you two know as well as I do, when you buy one in a project, it forms a part of your friendship group, and then you meet up in person, and you anticipate that asset's going to go up in price. Potentially, it becomes very difficult for that one to let go of, which is why when you see the holder ratio, it gives you a very clear picture of, okay, this is not constant. Like if the holder ratio is higher, it's telling you that a lot of people have got one of them, and and there's going to be supply friction in the future. Versus listed percentage, I think is bullshit. And I think someone actually.
I do like unique ownership more in terms of being able to know if like it's owned by lots of whales or there's actually a very healthy distribution.
I'm just gonna segue slightly, guys. Just the 54 of you that have joined us for the live stream, would really appreciate if you could share it on whatever platform you're on. It is how the lives grow, and also if you are on X or whatever platform you're listening to this on, just give myself, Simon, and Burge a follow, because each time we go live, it'll send you a notification. One of the things that came up on the timeline, Burge, and you're deep into the card ecosystem, Mikey JY, who is one of the VFriends whales, just broke the record for the highest card purchase. I don't know if you can get that up on the screen.
Let me 2 secs.
Cards are going absolutely bananas at the moment, and particularly in the VFriends ecosystem. I jumped on a Whatnot stream yesterday, and Gary was on there. He put these comic books up, and there were 500 of them, and they went in like fucking under 30 seconds on a Whatnot stream. And these are VFriends. Is using the comics as the storytelling framework for the entire project, and the NFT being the provenance of the project. But the flip side of that is he then asked everyone on the stream to buy a VFriend Series 2. And I think there were only a handful that went off and bought this VFriend Series 2. So it kind of tells you where we are with traditional folks. Right. Have you got some volume there?
Yeah, but the video is not really too important, but this is the main tweet. Mike JY has decided he's the big, black cat collector that out there in VFriends. He's decided to acquire Soggy Waffles Series 1 bubblegum, one of one black cat for $133,000 US. It's the highest publicly disclosed sale in VFriends history. They deliberately went 1,000 higher than that auction that we reported on just a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
From Golden, right? So that was the one of one. The one that sold at Golden was the one of one super refractor from the 2026 set that just came out. But this we're talking about Series 1 VFriends, which is really the most premium card set that VFriends has. I mean, there was only 10,000 boxes ever produced. 10,000 boxes? No, 1,000 boxes, I think. 1,000 boxes and 10 cards in each box. So 10,000 total supply. So, a one of one black cat in Series 1 is obviously going to be worth a ton of money. Soggy for a long time had it listed at quite a high value, trying to field offers. And this is a crazy sale to go down in the VFriends ecosystem. But yeah, you're right. Collectibles is crazy right now. Trading cards.
Amazing.
Yeah. Burge, I know this is a bit of a leading question, but do you see any other project doing this kind of cross-pollinating of physical collectibles and almost using the NFT as the lead magnet in the way that VFriends are, to the level that they're doing it?
No.
I know Pudgy Penguins are obviously in Target and Walmart.
Yes.
But the thing with Pudgy Penguins is I can't name any of them. And I know that's not a dunk on them. But
this is the thing with Pudgy Penguins. One thing I will give them credit for is I do think they've built a better TCG. They built a better TCG. Yeah, and I think they've really they built a team of people around this TCG who understand TCGs, and they really focused on building out tournaments. And I think they've done a pretty good job in that regard. Definitely, I would say better than VFriends. And even if you ask VFriends collectors,
I can't believe it, better than VFriends.
They would.
Anyway, Burge's microphone is just
moving on. No,
it looks like he's on mute.
Honestly, even VFriends collectors, even if you asked a To The Moon host, they would tip their hat to what Pudgy have done with Vibes TCG. Now, the problem is this. Yes, you can build a great TCG, but you then still have to get general people to care about it, which is really, really difficult. So, yes, they built the best TCG, I think, in Web3, but do they have mainstream? Does it have mainstream
what makes
appeal?
it better?
I think
I can't believe Jaden that he can't believe this, Spurge. He cannot believe it could be anything better than VFriends.
I love the VFriends TCG, but the VFriends TCG is very simple.
It's not that I can't believe it. It's just the fact that the more I hear things like this, I think this Luca Nets guy is a fucking beast.
Yes,
he's an absolute. And you know what? Those Pudgy Penguin holders will be sat there like they're fucking Paul Tudor Jones investors and Warren Buffett extraordinaires. But it was a failed project, and what happened was Luca Nets was in the community, and they got saved by the second coming of fucking Jesus.
They basically got bailed out. Hey? Yeah, they basically got bailed out by someone else coming in who had such credentials, and so the Vibes TCG is great. They also have an online version as well, playable TCG as well. Same TCG that you can play online as well. So that's really amazing stuff. But you're right, Jaden. There's no other brand in Web3 that is doing what VFriends is doing on the collectibles front in general.
Yeah.
Just look at these high sales. I don't know of any TCG card or Vibes TCG card, even Moonbirds or Pudgy, that has sold for anywhere close to that value that we're looking at here. And this isn't just one card. We've just had a sale a couple of weeks ago on Golden for $132,000. So there's nothing that's doing it. And this is the key thing. And I've mentioned this on previous live streams, right? Nothing that's doing it at the height that VFriends is doing it, but nothing that's doing it at the width that VFriends is doing it. Just go back to previous streams where I was talking about how many cards are listed on eBay. Go on eBay right now, type in VFriends, just look at the sheer amount of listings, then go on sold and completed listings and see how many sold in the last 90 days. It's staggering, the sheer depth that VFriends has. And that's why Gary's not really worried at all.
I mean, the clever thing that he's done is he's made the VFriends Series 2 the access pass to getting the physical collectibles.
Yeah.
So people who resonate with the traditional stuff like the comic books, maybe the card releases, if you've got to own a Series 2 to have a shot, and then obviously I think either a season one gets more.
They just sold out a new comic that just came out literally a day or two ago. I think it was yesterday actually. Has just sold out. 10,000 copies sold out in a day. I mean, that's staggering stuff for comic number 18. You know, it's not like it wasn't a big character. It was like a mixture of different like seafood characters. It was called Shell's Kitchen. It's comic issue 18. Like there's nothing special about like, you know, it being number 2 or number 3 or number 1, right? It's number 18. It sold out in a day. 10,000 copies. Now, a large amount of them did go to breakers who will end up reselling it and whatnot. That's true. But still a big success. But the key thing is this as well. VFriends have been at these physical shows as well. They've really been putting themselves out there to the public, to the masses. So at the National, you'll see VFriends has a massive booth. You know, just think about how many people in the sports card or the Pokemon card hobby that see VFriends and it's on their mind. Whereas I think when you look at other brands in Web3 like Pudgies, I think they are much more niche. They really struggle to market it to the masses. Gary, being Gary and being such a big person himself, he has this just knack for marketing, but also his brand as well. It is such a plus to have because he can just catapult VFriends in front of people, and he's done it over the last 3 or 4 years at the National, at New York Comic-Con. VFriends are at San Diego Comic-Con. There are all these massive shows in the US.
Can I ask you both a question? Are you quite into VFriends?
Yeah, just a tiny bit. I
feel like Simon is like on a date with us, and he's the female on the date, and we're talking about NFTs. And he's like, "Can you just shut up and fucking talk about something else?"
Talk about Del Mundos.
We've just
talk about Del Mundos. Let's talk about Chimpers. Let's talk about Venus. No, actually, I'm all with you. Fun enough, yesterday I went on to Ask Alfred. Oh God, yes, you are mad.
I sold 3 of these on a Whatnot show recently for £12 each. That's how much people want them to the UK audience.
Oh, that's great. I went on to Ask Alfred. You know that Alex has created that the bot, the sort of NFT thing, and it was great. It was like actually being with you two. I said, I'm thinking about buying a VFriends Series 1. And and it gave me the most detailed information of every single thing going on with it, and gave me all the different prices and everything I could buy. And I thought, I can't get away from it. Wherever I flip and go, man. In our Carrot Lane group of eFriends is a strong
strong presence. But you can't, Simon, you can't deny the truth, mate. It just is what it is.
I tell you one thing I would say as a good, not a counter at all, is we can all be so embedded in our knowledge of certain collections, we sometimes probably miss what other collections might be doing. Now, not to say VFriends, but you know what I mean? Because if you were talking probably to someone deeply ingrained in chimpers right now and everything they've done with this big deal they've made with a big agency about getting their IP out there across the globe, you'd probably get very passionate chimpers collectors, wouldn't
it's
you?
It's like the proximity bias of I'm so close to this now.
But that doesn't take anything away from what you said. Can I just say one thing as a bit of a segue? And it's completely different. It's had a thing came up about 12 minutes ago that completely separate. US PPI came in flat for July, and annual producer inflation dropped sharply to 4.7, down from 5.7 in June, coming right after softer CPI data. Wholesale inflation pressures are clearly easing. I just thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah,
little segue about what that may have as an impact overall on the
I've just looked at the crypto prices, and it obviously hasn't reacted just yet. But I'll just circle back to Alexander, who was the person who created Alfred. He just popped in the group. I don't know if it misinterpreted what I said. He said stockbrokers have been right before our eyes. Where what I meant was it was right under our noses and we fucking missed it.
Yeah.
But this is, I guess, the nature of the beast, and this is why I think the wisdom of the crowd. If you can get yourself into a community of people who are largely on the timeline and they put trade ideas into a group, it keeps you ahead of the pace, because you will both know in 2021 when more projects were launching, there's only so much bandwidth that you have. There's too many things. There's too many things that you get
way
into.
Too many things.
And for every stockbrokers, there's a fucking, I don't know.
There's a lot of losses.
Yeah,
there's a lot
of losses in there. And then you have the PTS. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I remember meeting someone at the WoW event, and I was talking to them about some of the NFTs they minted. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're talking about projects that I've never heard, never would touch with a barge pole. Like, they're so off piece that I'm like, bro, are you good? Like, penguins, you ever heard of VFriends?
But that's exactly it. I'm amazed by how people think something is a good idea versus actually, and we've seen that some of these things just don't work out. In fact, the vast majority of them don't work out, which is why I still lean on, okay, it's not as exciting, but we have a runway now of, Pudgy Penguins, Bored Ape Yacht Club, VFriends, Good Vibes Club, Chimpers, Claynosaurs. You're like, hold on a second. These guys are building. They're building real IP, and now we can see something. And you know what? The prices aren't that fucking offensive. They're not that offensive. And also, you then have the Lindy effect of people in those communities who have now survived a cycle. And I'm telling you right now, when people say things about chimpers, but they also say about Bored Ape Yacht Club, obviously, this is my forever ape, or I will never let this go, or they say things like vaulted, or what. When people say things like that, it's got cultural significance. And that one asset that they own, because you know how expressive it is and how attached you get to it and all these sorts of things. And then you meet, like at Ape Fest for 5 years in a row. Now you're hooking up and you've got buddies and people are getting engaged and blah, blah, blah. That makes that one asset very difficult to sell. It's like selling your season ticket at your favorite football team midway through the season. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
no. And you couple that with, Jaden, the fact that there is now no doubt that NFTs are at the absolute forefront and meeting point of this new technology, crypto and AI. And when you see what these new token these ERC 6551, I keep saying that. I'm actually now driving myself mad saying that the whole time, 6551 token. But when you see all this converging, and then you see the actual collectibles converging in this space. It's this kind of meeting point of everything, and I just think it's incredibly exciting that it can be storytelling, technology, finance, IP, community. There's nothing else like it, as far as I'm concerned, that brings that many different facets to the experience you have, and that's why probably people like us are so into it, because we can feel it and we can see it.
Yeah.
And to Jaden's analogy, it's not just like selling your season ticket halfway through the season. It's like Wrexham, like your team's gone up the division. It's like climbing up to the top division, and you'd be selling it during that climb up, because the projects like Bored Ape and Pudgy and VFriends, they're getting better and better. They're building and building and building. You're seeing the vision of where they could go, and it's like, do I sell now when I have this community of people that I've met through this project, that where I've shared real life experiences with them, and I can see the vision of where they're going? It's a very tough sell one.
And then you see the Yuga, for example, and you see the quality of the people they employ, the people who are the very best technologists in their field, at the very cutting edge of technology. You think, come on,
Zeneca calls it infinite regret, because you've like, this thing goes up in price and it feels great, but then you've got one of them. Largely people have one of them, which is why I don't know why OpenSea changed that to listings, but you don't want to sell it and then it goes down in price and you're like, shit. And then it goes up in price, you feel great. But the psychology of actually letting it go is very, very difficult, because it's got the built-in supply friction, it's got the built-in scarcity, and people, it's like people who get attached to their Bitcoin, like the Bitcoin maxis, and they never sell their Bitcoin, because obviously the built-in scarcity creates this high mimetic ceiling of, fuck me, this thing can go up forever in price. In light of the fact that there are opportunities popping up on different chains. Simon, I know that you are deep in the weeds of the Robinhood stuff. Is there anything that you guys are going to be looking at? Are you focused in any areas? Any opportunities you think are on the horizon, or are you doubling down on some of the stuff in 2021?
For me, I am actually now looking at the Robinhood. I have bought, I don't even know what I bought, but I bought into a collection that's doubled in price this morning on the Robinhood chain, because I just very quickly read about the fact that it has some tokenized incentives. Now, it's probably not got anything particularly fantastic, and that's why you've got to be so careful. But I've done that. I am going to look back at some of the ones I think we've not got our eyes on at the moment, because everyone's turning their heads on Robinhood as well. So I think we should look at some of the ones that, that are not being talked about as well.
What do you think about World of Women?
God, can I just say, sorry, that was a bit of a moment. I'm slightly mad on this. I, in fact, emailed someone who and I think it was it someone in our group spotted it and found it.
Alexander, I think.
Alexander, sorry, I meant to say Alexander. Someone who is currently one of the directors and is sort of appointed. So, and I've written to her. She's at, I think, Trilotech or something. I've written an email just saying it would be really great to hear from someone who's making some decisions about what is actually happening. I'm still completely taken aback by the fact there's just been nothing, unless I missed something. What is it that, why would you think that people at the top at the moment, so V's gone months ago, what would be a reason for not communicating at all in any way? They don't need to give away anything. They don't have to say, oh, this is what we're doing. They can just say, we know there's a big vacuum at the moment. We understand that people who are collectors have been faithful these years will probably want to know what's happening. There's things we are doing we can't tell you about, but please don't think we've forgotten. Why can't they just do that? Why can't they just communicate?
I don't think they have a plan.
Just buy it. We need someone to go in there, take over, because I always say I have genuinely always loved the artwork.
This is a summary of the Robinhood chain. I don't know if there's any that Simon recognizes from there. But yeah, on WoW, just quickly, I don't think they have a plan, to be honest. I I think V was the plan. V and Sweet Pea's like ideas was the plan, and when that fell through or failed, then I don't think they have a backup. So I think they're kind of like. I also don't know how how high priority it is for them. Whether they have other things going on. Well, I don't think. I definitely don't think there's someone out there that is their sole focus is WoW.
I think agree with that. And there are one or two people who have an accountability for decision making around World of Warcraft. Someone out there is accountable for making decisions of some sort, and I think it would only be the right thing just to communicate something. But I agree, they're probably not a priority. Yes, so can I just say on some of these Robinhood chains, there have been a few scams and a few people who are just taking the money. That's why you've got to be so careful. Cash Cat was mentioned negatively, but actually that might be...
Stockbrokers sees a big 27% sell-off.
Not surprising. It's what goes up goes down,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm always like looking. I am looking at the Robinhood NFT. I'm looking at it more from a technological point of view because I'm building workflows and AI-driven platforms, etc. at the moment, and doing a lot of work on that. But so I'm kind of curious from a technological point of view. But I still maintain it's great to be looking elsewhere when everyone's looking at this. There's some fantastic, very reduced price NFT collections out there, aren't there?
There are.
I mean, I think the X copy and the Beeple stuff.
I totally agree with that.
At the prices that they are, if you think of them as like the Ronaldo and the Messi, or the Banksy and the Andy Warhol, or whatever you want to call it, I just think fucking hell, just at least have one of those coming out of this cycle.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It just, and it's funny how. I did a post about, because the lowest Beeple that you can buy is actually just a couple of $100, and it's an open edition of that Gary one with the gift goat, and a lot of people are going, but there's 1,000 of them, and I'm like, he's only got 300 pieces of art listed, including that open edition. And if you look at Andy Warhol had 50,000 pieces that you could buy. He mass-produced his celeb style art, and Beeple, who's now the third wealthiest living artist, only has 300, and he is the Andy Warhol of this generation. He's the most defining artist of the internet age. He's been doing art since 1995. He's done his every day since 2007. So he's done one piece of art every single day since 2007. Puts it on social media. So he mass-produces his art, but his strategy is there's little supply that you can buy. So you get this huge eyeballs on the front end and little supply on the back end, which lends itself to these things going to astronomical prices. That would be my one thing. And then obviously Xcopy's got the opposite, where he has a tiered approach, which kind of like titrates up a little bit. So it kind of like there's a lower entry one and a mid tier, and then it scales up. And he's got more art available, except for the fact that he burns some of it, or he has a burn mechanism where you can redeem it for other pieces of art. Plus, he's got the strategy token attached to the Max Payne one, which I think, if you're going to look at cultural relevance, the Max Payne piece of art has more cultural relevance and eyeballs than any of the other pieces of art, because it's the most recognizable, because people bought it at the end of the bull market and it bought into the whole fucking Max Payne, because people bought it for like 1 Ethereum. And then all of a sudden, and it just shows how smart he is, because he knew that there was going to be a bear market. So that's why, he probably, and,
you're right. A piece of art like that. And as you rightly say, when people go, there's 1,000 of them or 2,000, that's tons editions. It's not really. It depends which lens you're looking through. If they become high demand, that's a small number. That's a small number.
But also there's less friction. You think, I've never bought a traditional piece of art in my entire life. Now I'm buying digital art because it's on the blockchain, and you're going to have a whole bunch of people, new eyeballs on this stuff, buying it. There's like Van Goya wrote a brilliant blog about how a 2 billion NFT market cap, I think it's like 1.5 or 1.6 at the moment. When he wrote it was 2 billion. Said it would, by 2030, would take over the traditional art market, which is 60 billion. because there's more accessibility. You can sell it quicker. You don't have the auction houses as a gatekeeper. There's no, obviously the artist can add a royalty in perpetuity, so there's more incentive for them. They don't have to release more art to get more upside. They just get the royalty in perpetuity. Obviously, the marketplace is kind of navigated around that, but now you can do it at the contract layer. So it's interesting. I think a lot of like the big, you might miss some newer stuff, but there is some high end stuff. Coldy's a good one. Victoria Verdandi's another brilliant one.
Yeah,
some of the historical art.
That's why I would have never bought a stockbroker, is because like I'd look at it even at 4.5 Ethereum, right, and knowing that it probably still has room to go up, and be like, yeah, but I don't hold a Series 1V friend at the moment. I don't hold enough. I don't hold an X copy. I hold only a few people. It's like, look, for us, like to try and rationalize buying a new project, even though it has like it's got the hype right now. I'm thinking, well, I don't know for sure it's going to go up, and I'm not confident on it long term, like I am these other projects that we know have a track record, have a history, and are not going to disappear overnight.
Probably worth, if you've got your little percentage aside for a bit of gambling, so to speak, you're restrictive on it, then I think there are some really interesting innovations taking place. But as you're right to say, there are 1,000 for every one that does brilliance. There are hundreds which just crash and burn, and you've got to be lucky. But the beautiful thing is, everyone says with this space, there's always something else around the corner. There's always an innovation. I mean, I'm minting something tomorrow called the Divergence, and then that's also a burn mechanism where you keep one, you burn 3, or you buy the equivalent token. And I think you will get some of that will go into a treasury or go into some sort of investment fund, and you get money every day from it. I mean, I'm going to mint it because it's free. So, and I'm happy to be on the whitelist. I might as well do it.
Yeah.
What have I got to lose?
Love it. Chuck it in the private chat, my friend, and we'll dive onto it. Guys, obviously we've come to the end now. I'd just like to thank the 68 people who tuned into the live stream. Really appreciate you. Obviously, these as things start to pick up and we move into a bull market, which I think is pretty likely, we'll get more eyeballs on this. We were actually having a chat offline when there was 160 people joined us last week. If all of a sudden we're in a bull market and the attention flows are back on the space, we're anticipating thousands of you turning up to these live streams. Burge says if you see him in public at one of these meetups, he's not giving out autographs and he's not doxed, so don't take a selfie with him. I
have a selfie stall going as well. But
Simon's
limited
giving me
hours.
his smolder because he wants to do it for the females, so it's all good, Simon. I'm throwing you two under the bus as we come to the end.
Thank you.
But I really appreciate you both diving on the hottest day of the year in the UK. Absolute champions. Thank you, Burge. Thank you, Simon. Until next week, and thank you to the 69 of you. Must be written in the stars with the 69. Lovely. That's our sign to check out. See you next week, 8:30 Eastern time. Love you guys. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
See you.
Take care.